Alright everyone, this is my 2003 G35 Sedan. It needs a new clutch with nearly 180,000 miles on it. This thing could sit at idle in first gear. I could drop the clutch and it would not go anywhere. This here is a clutch disc. As you can see, the rivets were completely exposed, making contact with the pressure plate and the flywheel. This flywheel has a lot of scarring on it, and as you know, dual mass flywheels, it's not recommended to have them resurfaced. And this clutch disc, or pressure plate, is done as well. It's nice that it was actually Nissan products, but they're expensive to replace, so that's why I went with this thing. This here is my Stage 3 XTD clutch, and it is sold on eBay by a company called Amico Clutch. They're located in Los Angeles. It cost me about $200, but it came with the clutch, pressure plate, flywheel, throwout bearing, and let's see what it looks like. The package pretty nice. Looks like it won't get damaged during transportation, so it's a nice thing. It definitely is much better condition than this thing. The reason I went with this one was because it is said to hold up to 539 horsepower, 479 torque, according to their website. And my car's not going to produce anything close to that, but the main reason why is because unlike the Stage 1 and the OEM replacement, these copper ceramic discs are said to hold up to heat a lot better. And with drifting and clutch kicking, it's probably best that I go with something like this. So I'm going to give it a shot. Now, I was going to go originally with the OEM replacement XTD clutch and pressure plate. But since I needed the flywheel too, and the combination of all of it was going to come out to about $400. This right here, for $200, figured I'd give it a shot. This is just a fun car. It's not my primary car, so had it been my primary car, I probably would have gone with something more expensive that I knew would last, but because this kit is so cheap and replacing the clutch and flywheel on this car is not too difficult, I decided I'd go with this one. So here we have the alignment tool, throwout bearing. Oh, another thing too is with the XTD clutch and flywheel kit, it comes with the same flywheel as you're getting here. It might be called something different, but if you look at the pictures, it's exactly the same as this. It seems to be like a replica of the actual XTD flywheel, but every single eBay kit offers this flywheel with it. This one here is 16 pounds, and hopefully the combination of all this makes it to where I can still drive my car on the street in traffic without any issues, but if it doesn't, oh well. The main thing about this is trying to understand if this is a kit worth buying. So after I get this thing installed, I'll do a review on it, let you guys know. Again, currently my car has about 179 or 180,000 miles. If this kit does not last, then I will let you guys know exactly how many miles I got out of it, how it operated, if it was good for drifting. Again, this is my drift car. It's a sedan. I know it's a little weird, but for the price I paid for this car, it's definitely worth it. Alright, so I went ahead and marked the mileage on it. This is a duplicolor paint, so I'm not sure if it's going to last. But that's why I did the 179K with the razor blade etched into the paint, just in case this ends up burning off. This is the original throwout bearing It says coil on it. I'm going to replace that with the one that's provided in the kit. You don't want to keep using the original one. When these go out, you have to replace it, and it's a lot of work. So yeah, I know I was saying that replacing a clutch and flywheel is pretty easy, but at the same time, you don't want to have to remove the transmission just for this. You know, if you're going to remove it to replace all these components, then it's understandable. But when you can do this right now, might as well. This here is a brandless throwout bearing. It does feel a little bit smoother than the original Koyo, so yeah, I'm definitely going to throw that on. Okay, so this is not meant to be a step-by-step how to install a clutch into your G35 or 350Z. There's plenty of those on YouTube if you're looking at how to do that. But this is a tip that I found watching, I can't remember whose channel it was, but everybody else is using a press to put their throwout bearing in. He had shown that you just take something like this, your engine stand, throw your throwout bearing onto it, and I already started doing it. And I'm taking this 1 1/8 Craftsman socket and just hammering it against the throwout bearing. This is eventually going to drop into here along with all those spiders, and I'll be able to hammer in the new throwout bearing once I get this one off. Okay, so that was actually really easy. I just dropped the throwout bearing housing or whatever that's called down there. Here's the throwout bearing, and I literally just tapped around this side, this side, this side, and within less than a minute, the bearing came out. Okay, so I just released this nut right here so I can get this piece out, and I wasn't kidding. There were a lot of spiders in there. It's pretty disgusting. But now I'm going to take this bearing and gently hammer it on. I'm just going to set this down on the ground, put this on here like this. Another tip too is if you throw this in the freezer for a while, it expands, so it will slide on a little easier. But now I'm just going to find the right size socket to put on this outer rim, and then I can tap it in. Okay, so this is the largest socket I have. It's a size 36 millimeter. And when I try to put it on over here, it wasn't gonna let the throwout bearing housing pass through it. So what I decided to do was just hammer it in by hand. I can literally hold it right like this and just tap it around. And as you can see, it's already seating itself. So I'm just gonna do this until it bottoms out. And there we go. It actually went in really easy. No need for a press. You can do it by hand and with this thing. So yeah, this is what I recommend right here. Spins nice and free. There was never any force on the bearing itself, just on the race, the outer race. And there you go. It's completely in. Our clutch is now installed. The flywheel bolts were torqued down to 68 foot-pounds in a cross pattern with Loctite. Our pressure plate bolts were torqued down to 32 foot-pounds in a cross pattern. This one here, this one here, this one here, then this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and the last one. Now it's time to install the throwout bearing and put everything back together. Now that everything's back together, just have to clean up the mess I made, and I can put this thing back on the ground, take it for a test drive. Okay, real quick before I start the car, I want to let you know a few things. I have never driven this car before. I purchased it with the worn out clutch, so I never got a chance to test drive it. So I don't know what else is wrong with the car. This engine makes a noise very similar to rod knock. Now it's not rod knock because the sound is coming from the passenger side valve cover, so chances are it's just valve lash. Now I have no intentions of fixing it. I do have a budget on this car, and if the engine were to blow during the time that I'm breaking in this clutch, it doesn't matter. I understand that an engine is going to cost around $1,000 to $1,500 from one of the importers here in California. So if the engine were to blow, I can immediately go and pick one up. But I'm going to see how long this engine can last me. Now, the guy who had it before me, he said he drove on this thing for 3 years with the same noise that it's making. If I can get a few track days on it, I will be happy. That's more than what I expect. Honestly, I don't know if this thing's going to make it the next 500 miles, which is what it requires to break in this clutch. But regardless, I'm going to have as much fun with this car as I can. This is a budget build. This is not my daily driven car. So if this thing breaks down, it's not a big deal. Now, hopefully it doesn't break down. But if it does, it's not the end of the world because I can easily go get another engine. Okay, now let's start it. You should be able to hear the ticking noise coming from the engine. It's pretty loud. Alright, let's see if this clutch works.
When opposite worlds collide, you know there's nothing but space between us. We will crash under the burning sky. Only when opposite worlds collide. Cut the tightrope we walk on. Watched us falling for so long. We both know it's not too late. Without you, there's no other way.
Okay, so my car doesn't have current tags right now, so I could only drive it here in the neighborhood. But just with this little drive, I was really surprised at how well this clutch feels. Being a stage 3 clutch, you would expect it to be really aggressive, bite really hard, or the pressure plate to feel really stiff. But the pressure plate is not stiff at all. This combination of flywheel and clutch, it feels like it should be a stock unit. It was really pleasant to drive. I can imagine taking this on the freeway and not having any issues with it. Now, that being said, I am kind of surprised that it did not grip harder because it is a stage 3, but we'll see how it feels after breaking it in. I plan on taking this on a trip to Santa Monica or Los Angeles, which is about 100 miles away from here. Seeing how I have to keep this under 3,000 RPMs, I may not take it through the canyons, but I am going to drive this thing 500 miles before getting really aggressive with it. I will not take it to the track until after that 500 mile mark because I want to break this clutch in properly. I want to be able to give it a fair chance before I make my final judgment whether or not this clutch is worth the $200. So after I get the registration worked out, I will take it on a drive. The one thing I did notice about this car, which is not clutch related, is the RPMs are pretty low. When I'm coasting in neutral, the RPMs want to stall, or the engine wants to stall. So I'm not sure if I have to reset the throttle body. Let's see if it'll happen this time. So the battery was disconnected for about 2 weeks. It may just be that the ECU has to go through a relearn process. So I know this video didn't provide too much information on the XTD clutch. I do plan on creating a video after I break it in to let you know how it feels. as well as creating a video when I take it to the track. I plan on doing a quarter-mile run with this car, with the setup the way it is, with a ticking engine, if they'll let me on the track, as well as going drifting for the first time. So please like and subscribe for future content.